Oh, it's so good to see everybody again. Listen, thank you for coming. This is amazing. It's very impromptu, and we just thought, heck, why not? Let's remember how amazing, or try to remember how amazing 4 years were. 4 years of amazing, amazing accomplishments. And I'm just going to read a little intro to get everybody back in the groove again. Because we've achieved so much. And so Reuniting has achieved incredible success thanks to the unwavering dedication of our extraordinary cast. Some of our cast is here today with us, and crew, and support of our investors, of course, and the invaluable contributions from organizations such as UBCP ACTRA. Thank you so much. We use their low budget agreement for members produced because Laura and I are members as well. So that was a huge, huge win for us. And we're so thankful for their support. Women in the Director's Chair, where this film began, and William F. White, which is now Sunbelt Rentals, who really supplied all of our gear to make this film. Of course, Telefilm came in for post-production funding. And of course, our amazing friends in the Vancouver film industry were just so incredibly supportive. The film had its world premiere at Austin Film Festival, and it went on to enjoy a remarkable theatrical run with sold-out screenings in LA and New York, 2 weeks in Toronto, 4 weeks in Vancouver, 2 weeks in Alberta, and to date, Reuniting has been nominated for 14 awards and proudly taken home 6, including Best Motion Picture at the Leo Awards. We're thrilled to have secured distribution in Canada and the US and are actively exploring opportunities for international distribution. So stay tuned for that because there are so many people around the world that keep asking us. So we're working on it. And this journey has been honestly nothing short of inspiring, and it's a true testament to the power and collaboration, a vision and heart that it takes to make a independent feature film. So thank you for joining us.
That's a great introduction. That's amazing.
So I wonder if we could maybe just introduce ourselves and tell everybody what role you played in the film. We're going to go ahead and assume that if anybody's watching this or here today with us, that you've seen the film and perhaps multiple times. Barb, I'm looking at you. And also, yeah, so name and what role you played, and just let's just start from there, and then we'll just dive into it and share some fun behind the scenes stories. Laura,
I feel like I was like, Chris is gonna ask me to start. So my name is Laura Adkin, and I wrote and directed the film. And I have producing credit, but like, let's be real, Krista did 90% of the producing. Like,
okay, but it was also very much you.
She did all the hard, boring stuff. That's what all the stuff I didn't want to do.
Don't forget about your performance in the film, Laura.
Oh, yes, I'm also in the film, guys. I have one scene, no dialogue.
Naked.
Yeah. And I'm not wearing any clothes. So there you go.
Bronwen.
Hi, I'm Bronwen Smith. I played Carrie. I remembered my character's name. No. I played Carrie in the film.
I'm impressed because I didn't remember.
I know. Well, remember back in the day when we would audition in person and we would have to sign in, and sometimes they would ask what character or what role you're auditioning for. The number of times I would be in an audition waiting room going, well, I don't know my character. I know all the people I'm talking to, what their names are. I don't know who I am.
Yeah. Carmen.
Hi, I'm Carmen Moore, and I played Natalie. That's her name, right?
That's her name.
Yes.
David.
Hi, I'm David Lewis. I played the character Perry Menopause. Oh no, that's the different show I worked on. I played Danny. I'm also married to the director, Laura Adkin.
Yes. David also did a lot of PA work on the film.
I did.
he drove the truck at
Yeah.
one
Oh,
point,
he did.
and he
Yeah.
ran up and down a mountain to bring us soup and pizza. And
Yeah.
then there was no vegan option, and so then he had to run back down the mountain. And then, yeah.
I wore a lot of hats on the production, and it was my
You
pleasure.
did.
Welcome to
You were
independent
also the
filmmaking.
snack giver to Laura as well, always
Yeah.
making sure Laura had food.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I think everyone else does too.
It's important. I mean, especially like someone who's, it's like they're so focused on something and they don't realize that their blood sugar's dropping or whatever. It's like, just
Yep.
eat this for the love of baby Jesus, eat this. Yeah.
Yes. Do the thing. It's true. Yeah. Um, so yeah, I'm thinking maybe I'll kick it off by asking because so we shot reuniting the
Who are you, by the
majority
way?
of the film. Oh, I'm Krista. Hi, I'm Krista. I'm the producer. Thanks. Thanks, David. Glad you're here. For those who don't know, we shot this film almost entirely on Bowen Island, which is near and dear to Laura's heart and David too. And now us, because we spent a lot of time there, this little island that's, only a 15-minute ferry ride away from the mainland. And I was just wondering, maybe Laura, could you talk a little bit about what that community meant to you and the atmosphere it created and just what Bowen Island kind of brought to the film.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was exactly where we needed to be, especially shooting during a pandemic. We were able to kind of go to this place where there was not a lot of people coming and going. And it's just this beautiful island, which added so much production value to the film. Like the film looks amazing. And it was, I don't know how you guys felt, but it felt like a little summer campy. It felt like, we got to kind of be in this space that was separate from our everyday lives, which a lot of the time when you're filming, you go home to your house every night. So I don't know. I loved the community aspect of it. I loved the small town aspect of it. And, it was really great that during this pandemic, we were able to like infuse money, not a lot because it's an independent film, but we were able to infuse some money into the community, which I thought was really awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. Does anyone have any memories of Bowen Island or anything that they wanted to share about shooting this film on Bowen Island?
I
Wasn't
mean, I'll
like
just, sorry, go
working
ahead.
vacation, right? It was just this little like it's so nice. It was like what you said, Laura. It was like summer camp, right? That we were all like we were sharing little spaces together, and it was so beautiful and warm, and yeah, it was beautiful.
And you and Bronwyn got to be roomies.
Yeah,
It
we
was
did.
wonderful. It
Yeah.
was wonderful. And during, like you mentioned, Krista, during the pandemic, that we could be somewhere else other than our apartments or our homes, and that it was such a wonderful place to be. It was just really nice to have a change of location. It was great.
Sterling, can we add Sterling to the spotlight there?
Oh, is he? I didn't even see that he's here. Sorry, Sterling. One second. Hold on. Let me just see where everybody is.
Oh, look, he's got palm trees in the background. What a
Oh,
jerk.
what is
A
happening?
brat.
Sterling.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
Such a
hold on.
brat.
Add light. There we go.
Hey, hi, Sterling.
Sterling's in
Hello.
Los Angeles.
Sterling, welcome. We just did a brief intro. Could you tell everybody who you are and how you contributed to the film and where are you right now?
Well, I'm in Los Angeles right now. We just had the premiere for Final Destination 6, so we've been running around. And
Very
I think
similar
that
to
we're gonna
Reuniting. Very similar.
Complete, so similar. Yeah.
basically the same movie. Yeah, I think they got. I think if Reuniting had the same press that Final Destination was getting, we'd be very similar.
Fair.
I'm Stirling Bancroft. I'm the cinematographer, and I like to think that I just follow Laura and David and Krista around making movies as best as I can with them.
I love this. I love this for us. Yeah. And what everybody might not know is that Sterling has pretty much made all of Laura's films to date. So that is a really special bond. Maybe you two could talk just briefly about that relationship and how that contributes to, making your very first feature film, Laura.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me it's really important. The director cinematographer relationship is incredibly important because it's super collaborative, and having someone that you trust and that, Sterling and I have worked together so much that we have, I don't know, I feel like I can say like, Sterling, I need the thing with the stuff, and he goes, okay, and knows what I'm talking about. And so it was just one element that I didn't have to worry about, was like building a relationship from scratch. And so we were able to do a lot of pre-production and talk through a lot of stuff. And yeah, I think there's a reason why directors work with the same cinematographers over and over and over again, because you create that shorthand and the trust as well.
I love that too. I mean, for me, it's always a treat to work with Laura because she's so good at putting actors first and making sure the performance is what's important. It really makes it really clear what the camera needs to do, because the camera just has to support performers and it has to be there. It can't be doing something fancy when the performance is strong, and it has to be in support of that as well. And I think that makes for really a really intimate relationship between the people who are on camera and the audience who's looking through the camera to see what's happening.
Hmm.
That's a really cool perspective. I've never really thought about that before, Sterling, but it's so important that people can focus on what the actors are doing. That's the most important. Their job is to tell the story, right? So that's so thank you. Um, so there's lots of behind the scenes stories, and I wonder if we could recall any that you'd want to share. I know Bronwen got a little bit excited. Of course, we were shooting on an island, and there was like water and boats, and it was like, it's May. So in Canada, it was the May long weekend. So we were shooting over, weekends, and there was boats, and I mean, the sound issues alone were challenging enough. But Bronwyn, did you happen to notice any wildlife that you want to talk about?
You know what I saw last night? Taking
What?
the little ferries from Granville Island over to the West End to meet some friends.
Yes. Did
They
you?
were all out there. Seals. I
Bronwyn and her seals.
but it's this thing like it's not new in Vancouver, and I've been out on the water a lot. I mean, I live right by the water and you see them, but it's never ever gets old to see this little head pop up. This sleek dog of the sea. And it's just blows my mind every time. And so
You,
yes, I
you were
was
quite adorable. So much so that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we add a little line when we were doing
in
ADR?
ADR.
Yeah.
I got it in. I got it
Can
in.
you tell everybody what scene that was?
Was that a seal when we first arrived
Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
And
Bronwyn
if you
got
listen
that got
to
that line in there.
it, you
It's
can
so
hear
great.
it. And every time because I've seen the movie a few times, every time I can hear it is that a seal?
So you have to see if you can rewatch it, everyone, and see if you can pick it out. It's when they first arrive and they're all on the
Yeah,
balcony looking out to
on
the water.
that gorgeous, gorgeous home. Yeah.
That's so funny.
Did anyone have any behind the scenes stories that they wanted to talk about? I know Roger's not here, but we bonded because I don't know why I didn't take him as someone who is a tea drinker, but we bonded over tea. I was so happy to know that he was like he always had like his Earl Grey tea, and it
Yeah,
just made
you
me so
weirdos
happy.
that don't drink coffee on a
I
movie set.
know.
Like, who are you? I mean, if this film didn't make you a coffee drinker, it never will happen for you.
I was running on 4 hours sleep every night, I'm pretty sure, but absolutely worth it.
So Laura and I talked about before the movie started that we would not live together during the movie just because there should be like separation of church and state type of thing, right? And it just because it's like I don't normally live with the director when I'm working on something. And
No?
so
Weird.
no, and so I ended up rooming with Roger, which was great because we played best friends in the movie, and it was like we had our own little uh, apartment condo part of a house, whatever, on the other side of the island, which was great. But one of the things that happened during the shoot because these shoots can be like stressful and everything. And right around Laura's birthday, we got into a huge fight. Laura and I I think on her birthday, I gave her like a firm handshake. Oh, pleasure doing business with you. It was like really uncomfortable, but it was just like the stress of everything, and it was something to do with me trying to throw an idea her way, and she's like, "I don't want any of your ideas," and it all got blown out of proportion. But because everybody was, it's the shoot was amazing, but there's a lot of stress because there's a lot of money involved and you got to get your days and everything. And I just remember like, this is so weird. I'm working for my wife, who's an amazing director, and I really don't like her right now. And I'm sure she felt the same way about me. And then a day or two later, it was all fine and whatever. But it was just like this weird blip in the shoot.
Yeah, you did not say happy birthday to me on my birthday.
But you said happy birthday to me.
Yes, but Bronwen got a happy birthday.
Because
we have the same birthday. As
it
did
was
our
my
makeup
birthday.
artist. And our makeup artist as well had the same birthday.
I know. Can you believe it? There was three of us that had the same birthday. It was wonderful. That was one of my favorite birthdays because I wasn't fighting with my husband, and
I was.
people were really nice. But yeah, three people with the same birthday.
That's right. Yeah. I remember, Bron, when I got you and the makeup artist this Tiffany necklace. And well, we'll talk about that later.
Lies. So if there aren't any, are there any more? Maybe they'll come more behind the scenes stories. But I think what's also really interesting is that not everybody knows. Shortly before we went to camera, we had a sudden change in casting, and Carmen Moore was the most kind and considerate and passionate and supportive person who literally jumped in to say yes. Laura, did you want to talk a little bit about that, or Carmen, do you want to share a little snippet about that?
Yeah, I mean, Carmen is amazing, and I'll let her talk. I'll let her talk in a second. I'll talk first, though. But no, but it's one of those things that's so crazy. The idea of anyone else playing that role is like bizarre to me. Like, I can't believe that was it. And I always believe that like the people that are meant to be in the cast end up there. In the moment of having no one 3 days before we were going to camera was very stressful. But like now, the idea that it wouldn't have been Carmen is like completely crazy. Totally crazy.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I got a call on Wednesday. Laura's like, "Can you read the script? By the way, we go to camera on Saturday." I'm like, okay. I just happened to be available. So yeah, I've read the first 10 pages, and I don't even know that my character had been
No, she's not even there yet.
I read the first 10 pages and I called Laura back and I said I'm in.
Yeah.
Oh. And what was it that that pulled you in, Carmen? Because I mean, that's a lot to say yes to.
I don't know what it was. I think it was it. Okay, this is going to sound really bad.
No.
But it didn't feel Canadian.
No.
Oh, that's not bad.
Awful.
That's fair. That's fair.
It was.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Canadian cinema has been notoriously safe and generic and formulaic, and just, to be honest, there's not a lot of Canadian content that sparks my interest. And
it's one moose in this movie. Not one moose.
Not one moose. Not one moose. Not one moose.
No.
So like it's just I want to dive into scripts that I'm interested in, you know?
Well, and especially independents who pay you $0. Let's be honest.
Yeah. And also Laura, I've known Laura for many, many years, and I love helping my friends. And I won't always help them if their script sucks. But her script didn't suck.
Yay!
Yay!
And then I heard David was in the show, and I kind of thought maybe not, but but I'm so committed.
But then maybe he'll behave himself this time.
No, well, that never happens, David. Never behave yourself.
And Carmen, at the time, you were just finishing up on The Flash, which was also kind of interesting. So when we originally scheduled, when we would go to camera, there was a lot of obviously moving pieces that we needed to figure out, and to get this many people in one place at the same time.
Don't write an ensemble as your first movie.
To have everybody available, to jump in, and Stirling included. I mean, he just jumps from one project to another, and we just feel so blessed that we were able to have everybody at that time. And we were, like, first week of shooting, I remember we were working, the last week of The Flash was happening, so Jesse, Michelle, and Carmen were all shooting on that last week. And we were starting to shoot on Reuniting, and the scheduling on that was just
because they were supposed to end a week earlier.
Right.
But someone on The Flash got COVID, and then everything got pushed.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
that was pretty wild. There was one scene in the original script that was meant to be a different location. Stirling, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I absolutely know what we're talking about. Sorry.
Do you want to share that?
Well, there was one location I was like, I didn't want to shoot in this treehouse because it was too small and it didn't look like anything. So I tried to convince Laura the best I could to let me shoot it on a sailboat instead. And she agreed. She let me do it, but it came at a huge personal cost to her because she was so sick that she had to stay on the dock. And
yeah,
I think
let me tell you. It looks great though. And it was crazy because I was like, sure, Stirling, we can have a sailboat. Like, we're going to find a sailboat. And then we found a sailboat. And it looks amazing. But every time I watch that scene, I'm like, oh yeah, I have no idea what happened in the moment. I was so seasick. I just, like, all I wanted to do was vomit off the side of the dock. I don't remember. I'm glad it turned out because I do not remember filming that at all.
I opened up our first aid kit because I just recently used it again on a set that I worked on, and there was a package of used, like, Gravol. So I know that was used, and also I remember bringing you ginger ale, but then also our sound, our boom op recorder, Alex Shamku, was also not doing well.
Jesse was also not doing well. I don't think Roger was doing that well either. The only person enjoying himself was Stirling. Stirling and our gaffer, Gareth. The two of them were living their absolute best lives. They had their shoes off and their pants rolled up, and they're standing on the side of the boat. Everyone was like living their best life, except
because my character's in there. Then he leaves, but then Jesse and Roger are smoking weed, so it got quite smoky. And it was a pretty small enclosed
Not real
space.
weed. They weren't smoking real weed. That's okay.
True, yes. But I'm sure that didn't help anyone's sort of seasickness.
Probably not. That was very tight quarters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a fun thing. I don't know if anyone knows about this, but so David's character has like acid, but it's obviously fake. But it's like, it's a prop, so it looks real. And it got left in the sailboat, and the person that owns the sailboat, her boyfriend was like, "What is this? What's happening?" And she's like,
I didn't hear that story.
I think that's a prop.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
I wouldn't have been able to do my little upside down head pop if it was a treehouse. So that's kind of fun.
Yeah, I had written it where you pop this way.
Right.
But I like
it's funnier upside down.
Funnier
Totally.
upside down.
Right. And there was an AD stationed there at the top that you can't see, obviously. It's just hiding. But I was drunk in the scene. So I was like stumbling away. And she thought, like, I remember like stumbling at first, and she was like, oh my God. I'm like, no. I'm acting. You can't get in the way of the camera. And she's like, oh my God, I really thought you fell. I'm like, well, then I'm a good actor.
Yay.
That is for sure.
My job.
You have the words to prove it.
In the ocean.
Oh my gosh, amazing. Yeah, no, it's so interesting how, actors and locations and scenes, at the very, very beginning, this was a different script. And, there's something to be said too about the script that you write, the script that you shoot, the script that you edit. It's all a big part of finding the story and really like navigating through these relationships and everyone plays such a big, big part from the beginning of the writing to the very end and in post-production as well. And just so grateful for our crew. They were all so kind and so passionate. And because I know we were going to say this over and over again, but it really was impactful because we were shooting this in the third wave of COVID. So it was really, there was a lot of challenges to work through, but it also made it so many people were available to work with. So such a gift. Such a gift. Um,
Hmm.
I wonder if could we turn the tide just a second to talk about characters and challenges of, some scenes that might have been challenging. I know, David, you had quite a challenging scene near the end. And by the way, like we're just assuming that everyone's seen the film and so they know what's happening in there and everything. And towards the end, David, you had quite an emotional scene on the steps there. I'm just wondering if you can talk a little bit about how you prepare for a scene like that.
Yeah, I mean it's I think the fact that Laura has hired professional actors that have been doing this for years, that's like I didn't I knew this script probably second to Laura better than anyone else. I got the version before anyone else, and she's like, I'm writing this character for you. And so I read the script multiple times. And so I kind of knew the character inside and out. Everybody else eventually did as well, but I just got it earlier. So I had all of that, and I did all my work as an actor. I did my backstory, and I did my imagination work and all the things to come with that. But it's still a little bit daunting because I'm working with all of these working actors and in that I've seen all their work and I respect them and then there's my wife who's directing me, so that's a bit of pressure on that. And then it's like everyone's bringing their A game, and if you don't, you will stand out like a sore thumb because the main cast, everybody had their moment to shine on this film. And I think that I felt like everyone kind of elevated everybody else. Like we were there to work, like, it was fun. And it's like, hey, like normally I feel like as an actor in Vancouver, we're always there supporting something. We're not there actually the main cast that often. And so, yeah, I dove in with both feet and I just worked hard like you're supposed to as an actor, I guess. Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this, but because maybe you were in the moment, but like while David is on the stairs having this emotional thing, it's like May long weekend, and there is like a boat full of insanely drunk people, like right down at the water, and they're like,
Right at the moment.
like just
Yeah.
yelling and like,
All
what
right.
are you doing? And like, it's just
Be over really
insanity
fast.
while you
All
were.
right. Bye.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a bro fest out there for sure. Uh, but we were pretty lucky for the most part, I feel, for sound that we didn't kind of get handcuffed too often. But yes, I do remember that. But we found the break, and I guess, in between sips or whatever, we were able to get the scene done.
Um, does anyone else want to talk about their character and playing a character like the character you played? I mean, Bronwen, Carmen, is there anything that you wanted to share or talk about? Um, Obviously, Carmen, you're not a doctor. Like,
What?
or are you?
Oh man. Whoops.
Yeah, was there any challenges in, getting into character? I mean, the time for sure, Carmen, but Bronwyn too, is there anything that you wanted to share about that character, getting into it, establishing relationships or yeah, stepping into it from that perspective?
I don't know.
It was beautiful and wonderful. And you're
Wow.
professionals, so this is what you do, right? I mean, there's, I mean, Carmen, I just keep thinking about how little time you had to prepare and how much your brain must have just been swimming in thoughts and, every day, right? Like how was that for you kind of jumping in and trying to learn lines and like having a roommate and was that easy? Was it
Oh,
challenging? Was it
Bronwen is awesome and lovely, and she's like one of the very, very few people on the planet that I could actually live with. So that was fine. That was great. I've done so much television in my 30 plus year career that doing things on the fly is just sort of second nature to me now. I have played a ton of doctors over the years. So I mean, it's always a little bit challenging just getting the verbiage down, just understanding what the hell does that word mean and why am I saying it? Like the medical terms, I don't. The big scene at the end, where I'm actually doing the procedure, I had no, I mean, I knew it was going to be emotional, but man, even now,
Yeah.
no idea how hard that was going to hit. I was sobbing during that scene.
Mm.
Man, that was an experience for sure. And also, you know what? I'm 25 years sober, so to play that drunk on screen was so much fun. It was so much fun.
That scene, can you guys talk about the scene when the two of you, when you're like super drunk and it's just the two of you? Can you talk about that? Because I have no idea from your perspective.
When you're that drunk and all of a sudden you're so in love with the person in front of you and you're so connected on that drunk level. I love that scene with you, Bronwyn, so much.
It was just, and it was so early on in our filming process too. Like it wasn't like one of the first things that we like that you and I filmed. And it was just so wonderful to have that bonding experience and like as the character, but then also as the actor of just that click of just like, oh, we're just agreeing that we're going to do this together right now and just explore and have fun. And that's just so joyful and
Do
wonderful.
it again.
Exactly.
That scene has my favorite line of the movie, and that line is, "That is such an old reference."
There are so much more newer doctor
Newer doctor shows. Yeah, all of her education just flies out the window
out the
after.
window.
There are so many more newer doctor shows.
Yeah. I love that scene so much. It was so much
Yeah.
fun to shoot. It was so much fun the way that we shot it, that there was no coverage. So it was just like we were just like in it with you two and yeah.
Yeah.
Sterling, do you want to talk a little bit about I do remember keeping the French doors open for a while and having 1,000 mosquito bites that night. I don't know if anyone else remembers that. Where it was the scene with the three of you and then eventually the two of you. But Sterling, can you talk a little about because this was an independent feature film. We really scraped together like nickels and dimes and money to get this off the ground and to go to camera with just enough to shoot. And what I really love about who you are as a cinematographer, one of the many things is that you have the ability to work with a variety of budgets, and we didn't have a lot. We didn't have a lot of gear. You stripped down a lot of stuff that you ordered from William F. White, now Sunbelt. And I'm just wondering if you can talk a little bit about how you navigate that type of situation where you have limited gear. You also worked with crew who were very young and, inspired and keen and hardworking. But can you speak a little bit about that experience for you and how you collaborated with everybody to just, I don't know, somehow make magic on the day?
mean, I think I'd be remiss if I didn't start with thanking Nikki and Ed Brando. Nikki
Yeah.
especially, who was our producer, really kept us together and was able to help us get a lot of the equipment that we had on set. So,
And Tug.
Yeah.
oh,
Nikki and Ed and Tug were
Yeah.
absolutely integral to making that happen, getting all of our gear and yeah, you're
And
right.
saying yes to crazy things.
Todd got us all the camera gear that we needed to. And Amanda was there as well at that time. So we really felt supported by our white Sunbelt team. And then we did have a young crew, but there was nobody on that crew that was experienced. Like, everyone was there, excited to do a summer camp movie, and it was not a difficult sale to make. There's the people who are passionate artists who also have to be professionals on the weekday. Um, I think we all were just excited to just come out and work and to do a fun movie because sometimes the movies are work. Sometimes they feel more exciting, they feel special, they feel like we get to do something that's going to mean something in the future.
And I think because Sterling and I were had the time to talk and figure it out and all of our prep, that we were able to go like, okay, great, this is what we need. And we didn't really take anything that we didn't need or didn't use. Like I was really specific in the way in which I wanted to shoot this movie. Which could have gone terribly wrong because we did like no coverage. So it could have, like, honestly, I was taking a chance. I actually have a question for the actors because I'm curious for you all. What was that like for you going from like a TV world of where it's like you cover everything to like where I'm like, okay, great, this is it. This is all we're doing.
Kind of a relief, actually. Sometimes I'm in the middle of TV shows going, why do we need this? You're never gonna use this. Why? Right? So we jumped in and it was almost like doing a play, which I hadn't done in so long. And just to have the freedom of just being in it with the rest of the actors and not having to do it 48 times where you just lose steam and it loses the words just lose all meaning. So we got to stay in the moments where it still actually meant something. And I think it shows.
Yeah, I think so too.
I feel like I've seen since we did this, like I think about Adolescence on Netflix or The Pit, or like there's so many shows. Studio. There's so many shows that are really embracing the same sort of style. And
Do you guys think they watched Reuniting and then we're like, this is what we're gonna do?
So oh my gosh, can we talk about Four Seasons? Has anyone seen that yet?
I got a text from not somebody associated with that, but an actor friend. We had done a play like a couple of years ago, and she's like, watching Four Seasons, reuniting much?
Oh, wow.
It's really
like, what? Yeah. Although the Four Seasons is based on Alan Alda's feature film from way back, but I think it's really exciting as an actor, and I hope I get that opportunity more and more, and that this continues to be a trend where we can, just have it at times at least be a bit more of an actor focused as opposed to we're just props that are here to get your your whims. So it was wonderful. It was a really great experience. Yeah.
I just wanted to add something really quick back to the Stirling conversation. Is my son came on and he was a crew member, which was unbelievable because he would have been like
it was grade 12. He was just about to graduate high school.
17, maybe something like that. And Laura suggested he come on, and I was like, great, we need more PAs. And then I show up on set and he's holding like a $70,000 lens. I'm like, are you fucking people microdosing? What is going on right now? My crazy kid. But Sterling is like, let's just throw him in the deep end, see what's going to happen. And I have to say, Sterling, like, just sort of watching you with the crew, I don't think you give yourself enough credit because, there were times that mistakes were made, whether, I don't know, it was like a focus pull or the camera move was, and you just had a Zen patience about you. You didn't lose your mind because when you lose your mind, everybody, it's when the boss loses their mind, everybody starts getting small and nobody wants to be creative anymore because you just don't want to make a mistake. And so I think that was a really powerful, you led by example. And I think that you really rallied your crew around you just by sort of being that. And same for you, Laura. You know, you weren't losing your mind. It was a very
I
creative
lost my
environment.
mind in private.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah,
We all
yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Which I have
Happy
to
to be there
say,
for you.
I really appreciated having an intimacy coordinator on set. I did not realize that she would also like help me when I was having moments because I could not have a moment in front of anyone, maybe in front of Krista, but like she was awesome. And I definitely had a couple good cries with her. And then I like moved on because like you cannot be the director that starts like crying in the middle. Right? Like,
So it makes sense because intimacy doesn't just happen on screen on
yeah.
a set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, why wouldn't she be there to make sure that the director is not having a freaking breakdown and affecting
Yeah.
everybody around them, right? So, yeah.
Yeah. And the crew too. I mean, the content of the story was, was sensitive, and it was really amazing to have Christina there so that she could, just be that presence to know that everybody could go to her and come to her if there was anything on their mind that they wanted to share, or if they needed to step away at any moment. I mean, Carmen, you yourself were saying that scene was really quite emotional. I think what also was really amazing was just to look around the crew and see how serious they took it, and
Mm.
how much they were there for each other and for the actors. I mean, Laura has shared a story when the big scene, the reveal scene, when everybody's revealing their secrets. And at one point, I think, did you say, Laura, you looked down the hallway and there was this tiny little monitor at the end of the hallway,
Yeah.
and she got a glance and everybody was watching the performances. I
Yeah,
mean,
like the whole crew. And most of our crew was sort of like 25-year-old dudes, like not the demographic of this movie at all. And that was the moment where I'm like, okay, there's something like special happening here, I think.
But can I say,
Yeah.
you're saying like not the demographic of this movie at all. After the movie came out, it blew me away. Young men
Mhm.
in their early 20s coming up to me and saying, I've never seen a movie like that because I didn't grow up in our time period of ensemble pieces and everything. And they've never cried in a movie, and they never knew that a movie could be like that. And that blew my mind. The very demographic that we're thinking, oh, that's not for
Yeah.
them, was the ones that were coming up and saying, oh my God, like
Ah,
I didn't know. And that moved me more than anything.
It's pretty incredible. When I went to the premiere in Toronto, and there was a bunch of people that were there because they were fans of The Flash, right? So they're big Jesse fans. One of them had a Flash tattoo and everything. So they're very intense. And they're like 19, 20. And they came and talked to me after, and they're like, "Oh, I really like resonated with this movie." And I'm like, oh, please explain. I'm like, yeah, like I'm thinking about like, what my friends are going to be doing, and am I going to be friends with these people like later on in like life? And I was just like, so these guys that like really I would not expect that would have ever come to this movie. And they even said they came because they were fans of Jesse. And I was like, that is so cool.
Yeah.
hmm.
Laura, did you want to take a second and talk about Jesse and Michelle and maybe Roger too? Or not,
Oh
they're not
yeah,
with
they're
us
not here.
here today, but
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I think this is just like the perfect great ensemble. We talked a little bit earlier just about like the just being on set. And Krista and I were very conscious about not having anyone that sucked on set. And I don't mean sucked in like they're like bad at their job, but like sucked as people. Because we didn't want bad vibes. We wanted everyone to get along, and we wanted everyone to be positive. And I think we did a really good job of that. And it was great to have everybody there. And it was really cool, like having David and Roger live together and having Bronwen and Carmen live together. And then Jesse and Michelle both lived on Bowen anyway. So they went to their own homes at night, which I thought was like really interesting as well. But yeah, I don't know if there's any specific stories I can think of off the top of my head, but
I mean, I'm not sure if everybody knows how Jesse and Michelle got involved in the
Yeah, I
project
mean,
at the
I had
beginning.
originally written, I've known Michelle forever, for like over 20 years, and I had always wanted to work with her. And so I wrote the film. Her and David are who I had in mind for those characters at the beginning. And then I saw Bronwen in a play. Bronwen and I had worked together at the school, like we taught together. But I saw her in a play, and I was like, why does this woman not have a television series? This woman is like so incredible. So then I said to her, I was like, I'm writing a part for you in my movie. Um, and
And I said, keep writing.
and then with Roger's the only person I ever had in mind for that role. So I'm really glad he said yes, because I don't know who else I'm sure we would have found someone, but I was a little bit nervous because I didn't know him. I met him like one time, I think, but Michelle knew him. So I was like, Michelle, can you email this to Roger? Um, and she did, and he was like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I was very like, for the longest time, I didn't want to send Michelle or Bronwyn the script because I was afraid they'd be like, oh crap, this sucks. I don't want to do this anymore. So I waited like a very long time before I sent it to them. But then I was glad that they were happy with it.
Oh yeah.
Krista, I have a question for you. Did having Michelle attached to our project sort of open up the island a little bit to us as far as opportunity?
Well, thanks for asking, David. Um, I mean, yes, it is the big answer. And also, Laura's mom lives
Who
on
is
Bowen.
on this call? That's who is my other name. Because I
Oh,
one time signed in
Kathy.
to her iPad and now she doesn't know how to unsign me out. So
Kathy, we love you.
that's
Um, yeah,
that's
I mean, like Michelle really was so incredible. I mean, anything, she was like, anything you need, just anything you need, just like let me know. And so between Michelle and Kathy and Laura and Liz, our costume designer, who also lives on Bowen, who's been in the industry for a really long time. I mean, the whole community really came together, and they were so kind. I mean, the permits that we had to get and everything, houses, connections through, okay, where can we shoot? The main house that we shot at was actually a mutual friend of Laura and I, which we didn't realize until all of a sudden we started talking about where. I'm like, oh, great, Bowen, that sounds wonderful. How are we going to get all of these actors over there, and how and where are we shooting? Like, do you have a location map? She's like, no, we'll figure it out. I'm like, okay. And the house was a mutual friend of ours who ended up coming on to be in the production design category, and did some set design, and she was an integral part of our film too. And it was her family's home that we shot at for the majority of the film that takes place on Bowen Island. It was truly amazing how the community came together, and I'm just so grateful. We're actually can we say, Laura, about
I think so. We don't have a date
really,
yet, but it'll
not
be
really official.
yeah.
But we've been working on getting a screening on Bowen Island. So for those of you who don't know, they've just opened up a theater, a movie theater
Yeah.
on
Well,
Bowen Island.
it's a community center that has a
Yeah,
theater.
it's a community center.
It's not like a Cineplex on Bowen or anything.
Yeah, but they have the ability to play movies, and
Yeah.
so we're working on a screening on Bowen Island later this year to really honestly give back to the community, because every single person that was living on Bowen at the time were absolutely affected and noticed, and yeah, gave some kind of support to the film. So we really want to come back to Bowen and do a screening there and give back to the community, because they were such an integral part in making this happen.
mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So grateful, really. There's a couple more questions that I wanted to ask, and I think that, first I wanted to ask for anybody who wants to, participate in this answer, was like, did this film in some way change your perspective of, friendship, or was it, did you kind of after this film or during it or any time in the process of it, did you step away at any point and have a reflection of, where you are in your life, what's going on, what the future looks like, aging and friendship and community. I'm just wondering if anyone had
Yeah.
anything to share about how that, yeah, death, how that might have come into play, either during or after the film, if that's affected you.
Hmm. Well, I know for me, my wife talks about death all the time. You talk about Christmas, she's like, well, I had a relative who got stuck in a chimney once, and I'm like, what are you even talking about? Laura's a little bit obsessed, not in a bad way, but just like, so I'm afraid of death. Like it kind of freaks me out. When we were making the film, I didn't have those thoughts, but the amount of times that I've watched the film, definitely I sort of think about mortality and friends. Everybody's, you know, here's my hot take. People are getting older.
No.
I know it's crazy, right? So when we were making the movie, I think I was too in the middle of the movie to sort of see it, but in now watching it at different screenings and stuff, it's like, wow, it's like, yeah, life is moving forward, and not everybody. I've got a good friend who's his best friend who's quite young has just passed away from cancer. So it's like it all comes for us eventually, and when you're 20, you're gonna live forever, right? And then you get a little bit older, and then I don't know, yeah, it's pretty existential at times.
Yeah, for a while there, every time I got a headache, I wondered if I had a brain tumor.
Carmen,
I
I do
mean,
that
it
all the time. I think
creeps
I
into
have
your it
every
creeps into your
disease.
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
just my brain. It's a little
yeah.
ridiculous at times.
Laura, could you talk just briefly, because I know we could have a whole other hour about this, about, your perspective on everyone's like, oh, female director, female writer, female screenwriter. It's like, can we just say I'm a director? Like, what are your thoughts on that? And what do you feel you bring as a writer, director? Because I know, you'd want to direct
Yeah.
other people's work that they've written.
Yeah.
You want to keep doing writing and directing, but could you speak on that a little bit, if that was even a clear question at
Yeah,
all?
no, it's really interesting because I sort of have two thoughts. Like we're all directors and we're all, so it feels weird to be like you're a female director, but at the same time, we still don't have equality in storytelling. So if there's things that as a female director helps me be able to tell more stories, like I'm on board with that. I think the biggest thing for me was realizing that I could use my femininity and the things that make me me as my superpower instead of trying to do it the way that a man would do it. And I think for me, that's creating like a really inclusive set that's like being vulnerable with my actors and not creating something that's like the way that everyone's always done it. That's what I hate more than anything is like, oh, well, this is the way that it's always been done. One of the big things for us was we didn't have 16-hour days. Like that's crazy. It's completely insane and counterintuitive to what actors need to do their best work. And crew as well, right? Like if you have crew that are well rested, they're going to come back the next day, they're going to work hard and then they're going to get to go home. Like I don't think, especially for women, I don't think we should have to choose between a career and a family or like it's just it's insane. So I think we haven't quite found our equality yet, but I think I don't know. I'm not trying to be anyone other than me, and I think that took me to get into my 30s and now into my 40s to realize that when I was younger, I was just like trying to do it the way that everyone else did it, and that did not work for me.
Mm, yeah, thanks for that. You definitely brought a different perspective, and And I know that we talked so much about, leading up to the film and going to camera and what that looked like. And, you're like, we had all the good people, right? Like it was really important to us and we could, being an independent film, we could, I met with every single person that stepped onto that set before they arrived. I took 5 minutes just to make sure that, they were good, solid, people that were going to be there for the right reasons. And that was really important to us. And I know we had lots of talks with Stirling about his crew and, making sure we had transportation for a crew to get there and back and making sure that, we wrapped in time for them to have a good turnaround. And I don't know, I just think it's a different perspective from a female when you're at the helm. So I know that we all really appreciate you, Laura, and your writing and everything you brought to this film. It was just such a special experience, and well, I'm still in it, aren't we? We're still dealing
Oh yeah,
with
Krista and I had a meeting yesterday about tax credits. Like it's
Let's
just
be honest, I don't know. It just never ends, but gladly, gladly in it for, this partnership and the people that we've affected along the way and the friendships that we've formed. I know Dave is here. Dave Chick, he's our sound designer, and he was a huge part of this post-production. He did our ADR. I mean, he just, oh my gosh, the amount of work this man put into this film, as all of our post-production crew, who, should be highlighted in their own way because they are all so important to the post-production, which is a side that we could, actually one day have a conversation with all of our post team too, because I think there's a lot of unanswered questions. People don't really understand what that world is and how it all comes together and how important it is in each individual job as well. So maybe there'll be a part two of this. I think that
There
would
should
be
be.
kind of
Then
fun.
maybe Sterling can explain color corrections to me because I've as many things as we've colored together, I still have no idea what he's talking about.
It
Um,
it would be. It would actually be really interesting to have like all of our post-production team on a call to really, yeah, to
yeah.
explain things and the technical terms that we were just like, I don't know, what do you need? Do you need it now? How can I get it?
And I think, just to we're shouting out to people right now, Alex Barker, especially like my editor, who her and I have worked on like I have never made anything that she has not edited. Like she has edited everything I've ever worked on. And her voice is so important. Just like I think it's really important that a director has a cinematographer that they work really well with and can collaborate with. I think an editor is equally as important.
Mhm.
Someone that can see it in a different way. There was a scene that we shot that was really expensive to shoot.
Sure was.
Sterling almost died. I've never seen a human being sweat as much as he was in this. Because it was like handheld for like a very long time in winter. And it was Alex who went, we don't need the scene. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then I said to her, I was like very sure about it. I'm like, fine, cut it out of this one, and then we'll see that we actually do need it, and you'll be wrong. And then we watched it, and it was like, oh, you're right. Because she's always right. She always is right. She always brings a different perspective, but she starts it like this. So don't get mad at me. Like that's every time she has like a big bold idea, but every one of her big bold ideas has been like essential to crafting everything.
And I think that speaks a lot to you, Laura, about how open you are. You are very, you're strong in your creative vision and you know what you want, but you are also so great at letting those thoughts in and the notes in and, and working together and then really collaborating, even with your actors on the day.
Film is collaborative, right?
Yeah.
If I wanted to write something by myself, I'd write a novel. Like, right? Like film
Yep.
is collaborative. That's the fun part. That's the part that's fun is you get all these, even like with the actors, like I write a character, but as soon as we start making it, it's those are not my characters anymore, right? They belong to you guys. And your ideas that you bring, it just makes it better. If if my script is better than the film, we have we have made an error.
Is it hard for you to let your characters go though?
No, not at all. Not at all. I get excited about what they turn into and what, you all bring to it. It's like it's so much more exciting.
Is that because you are an actor yourself and you can approach it in a way where that you have that knowledge of being able to know how much an actor can infuse?
Yeah, I think so. I think all of the years that I've spent acting and teaching and stuff like that gives me a really good understanding of actors. I always say like the reason that I was like not successful as an actor is because I understand acting intellectually and in practice, like maybe not so much. But I really like, I just love it. I love seeing something that was in my, there's nothing cooler than spending all this time by yourself, like writing your script and like having imaginary conversations and then seeing it like come to life. Like that is so cool. Like hearing words that I wrote and have you guys say them, especially when they're funny and the joke works. Like that's the best. When you and you're like, yes, everyone's laughing.
Yeah, those moments. I mean, our world premiere was at the Austin Film Festival, and like, sitting there with a brand new audience. I mean, we had a lot of people there from Vancouver, which was pretty amazing. But sitting there in the audience and hearing all those people surrounding us, laughing at the right times, like getting
Yeah.
emotional. We supplied little mini things of Kleenex to everybody before the show started. I'm sure they were like, I'm fine, but then hearing the crinkling of like
Oh
opening
yeah,
the
everyone's like,
Kleenex, those moments, like, what a payoff that really is. I know we're going over a little bit. We said we'd go till 2, but Laura, I'm wondering if we can bring on Dave just briefly to have a quick little chat about, my perspective too is like, you wrote the script. We all helped you, create your vision. And then, the post-production side, and we will do this. I think it would
yeah,
be really fun to have a post-production
yeah.
little reunion as well. But Dave, like, what's it like when you get handed this film and you hear all the things that not a lot of people are hearing? Like, can you talk just briefly about your experience when you got this film and then maybe the joys or the trials and tribulations of, working through what you were handed?
Well, I think one of the cool things about this film was, well, testament to the cast and crew, Laura, Krista. You guys made everything about this so much more pleasant to work on because the post-production process, dragged on, but every time you guys came back with a
Aw.
new thing, it wasn't one of those things where I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, I have to open this thing up again. It's like, no, it was a pleasure to get into it. And that final scene, I tell you guys this all the time. It, I could not watch the film once without like, getting some feels at the end there. It was like, even when I got the rough sound and all that stuff with all the warts on it, it's still like, you got you right there. Like the performances were just fabulous, fantastic. Um, I think the only thing that scared me was when, Laura and I had lunch at Earl's before we got into this, and she said two things. Well, one, Alex Shamku was the sound recordist, and I was like, yes, all right, I'm good. And then she said one of the actors will not do ADR. I was like, oh, interesting. Okay. You were in the studio, David. Got you. But so it was thankfully like we got some good coverage. I had the tools that we could salvage stuff. There wasn't anything that was like, oh my God, we can't use this at all. Um, I think it was a pleasure. It was an absolute pleasure to go through this one. Yeah.
And Dave, you are a composer as well as
Yeah.
a sound engineer. And what do you like to be referred to as? Sound designer?
Ah,
And
I just wear so many different
I
hats.
know you do. But one of the other things that
He's
you
just
do is
Dave.
you're you're a
Dave.
composer as well. So I'd love
Yes.
to get your perspective briefly about the music that played a huge role in the
Mm.
film as well, and how you talk about that last scene and how that song actually was like so
Oh,
cool. How
yeah.
Alex originally, when she did the first assembly of the film, which is just basically like you put all the parts together and then she put in a bunch of temp tracks of music that none of us ever thought we could ever get. And it was just this really cool moment where,
She always
we
picks
had
the best songs.
oh,
Everything. She always picks the best songs. I'm like, God damn it, Alex.
and we really do believe that last song was like so key, so integral to that scene where we're seeing everybody open their letters, and I'm just wondering if you can speak a little bit about the power of music and how that can change the feel of what you're viewing.
Yeah, that is one of the cool things about music is it really it's the language of emotion, and it basically can either reinforce what you're seeing on scenes, or it can redirect an audience's viewpoint on things. And that one was just one of those ones that basically you're already getting punched in the gut with what happened, and they're reading the letters and stuff, and that music just puts you over the edge of you get to empathize on like a level of 100 on that one. That yeah. Yeah, music. I love I love what music can do to films. It's amazing. Yeah.
It's true. It's
Yeah.
true. Well, I will open it up for any questions that anybody wants to ask or any last comments or memories that you want to share. And and then yeah, we'll do a part two for post-production. I think that would be such a great idea.
Mhm.
Anybody have any last words they want to share?
I mean, just thank you guys all for being part of this thing that I actually, when Krista told me yesterday or the day, whatever, that it was 4 years ago, I'm like, what? Like, it does not feel like it was that long
That
ago.
was me too. When I saw it on Instagram, I was like, Really?
I know.
It's been 4
Probably
Mhm.
years?
because we're still in it. We're like literally
We are.
stuff for it. So it's like it's never ending. But yeah, no, this was just an amazing. I don't think I could have asked for a better first feature experience than working with all of you wonderful humans and all the wonderful humans that are not here.
Yes.
I, I I've got a
Oh.
question for Laura,
Okay.
actually. When we started prep, we thought about shooting this on VHS. Do you regret that we didn't shoot it on VHS?
I mean, it would have been amazing. Sterling and I talked about a lot of things and a lot of things that would have been really cool, but I think it all worked out the way it was supposed to. But yeah, like I really wanted it to feel like we're watching an 80s movie.
Yeah, maybe our next movie we could shoot on film and do a VHS transfer. It was like a VHS intermediate to get that feeling of an 80s movie.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I do not want to handle that in post.
Dave was like, no, no. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, look, I have a thought about when directors are like, I'm gonna shoot on film. It's like, great, good for you. It's so expensive. So that's just silly. If we had shot on film, no, we couldn't have. There's just no way. There's just no way. But I think we did a pretty good job of making it feel like it was nostalgic. It had a nostalgic feeling. And fun fact for anyone, if you're watching, because I like love film so much, there are the little cigarette burns on the top every 20 minutes or so, because that's about as long as reels would be. So the reel change. We added those in to the point where when we premiered at the Austin Film Festival, I got a note of like, there's something wrong with your film. And I'm like, nope, that's there on purpose. They're like, oh, we'll write down creative choice. I'm like, yes.
Creative choice. Yes. Oh yeah.
This is like a 20-year-old telling me this. I'm like, so when we had film and they were like, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay.
Love it.
Bless.
Beautiful.
Well,
Several people have mentioned the performances. I would like to see the performances that did not make it into the film. Is there any possible way we can see deleted scenes?
Yes.
oh, we've always talked about the
That
one.
big scene.
Yeah,
yes, it will be played at the Bowen Island screening.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Fun.
It's not color corrected, but it still looks really good.
We can grade it.
Okay.
Could we?
Sure, we could.
I love how you're just volunteering.
It'll happen.
Well, let's have a chat about that because that would be really
we have
cool.
it because Alex put it to. We ended up having to. It's not a true one-er. Sorry. We did a bit of editing in there, but It looks great.
But it's cut.
It looks great in the film.
Yeah. Huh.
So we cut it. And then oh, and then there's one scene that we cut that we will not be showing because I did not direct it very well. So that is, it was the very first scene. Look, it was the very first scene, and it just wasn't written very well. Look, it was all me. The acting was great, but it was just like, and it just didn't quite cut the way that I wanted it to.
Did anybody else have their scenes cut?
There's a scene with you and David that just didn't need to be there, but it was really great. And you had like a really funny moment with the beer where you drank the beer and you're like, oh, that's gross.
Oh yeah.
There was a scene that I had with Roger as well on the
Yes.
bathroom floor.
Yeah.
Why did all my scenes get cut?
Yeah, no, that's weird. I'll talk to the producer about that.
Well, no, I cut Roger out so it could just be about you.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I don't believe you.
Yeah, it's crazy though. I think it's a really interesting part of the process when
Yeah.
you're writing something and it needs to be there on the page, and then when you're watching it, you're like, oh, I don't need this anymore. And we did write some extra stuff. We had a really, I know we're running over time, but we had a really great experience in the sense that we shot everything on Bowen, then we did an assembly, and then we already knew we were going to do our stuff that we had to shoot in Vancouver. And so we already had days set aside, and there was some stuff that felt like it was missing. And then the scene with Bronwen and Michelle's characters on the cliff, it just their acting was spectacular. I knew I could write the scene better. I knew I could give them something that had a bit more of an arc to it. And so we were able to reshoot that and then add a scene with David and Bronwyn, which is one of my favorite scenes in the movie now. But like massive props to Stirling for creating that scene in a completely different location than where we shot it originally at a completely different time of year. And it like looks exactly like it's supposed to be.
This scene with Bronwyn and Michelle. Can you just briefly explain
Yeah,
what part
so
you used when?
originally we had shot everything up on, so we see them from behind and we see this beautiful sort of like vista of the water and all of that stuff. We shot the whole thing originally up there. We didn't have a permit for that, so we could not go back there and shoot it. Because fun fact, that is the city of Vancouver and not Bowen Island, which is weird. Because it's a park. I don't know.
Oh.
Very confusing. We didn't ask a lot of questions. We were just like, okay. So we had to reshoot their coverage. So we ended up finding a different place that was not on a cliff or a mountain or anything. It was right by the water where there was lots of people running around swimming because it was warm. It was
On the side of a road.
the side of a
Yeah.
road, and then someone's alarm kept going off.
Oh yeah.
And then we mixed that in with Bronwyn walking up someone else's, like somewhere else. So we cut all of these things together, and yeah, Stirling was able to figure out how to put it so that it would, yeah, it was amazing.
Amazing.
I can't tell.
No, you
Nope.
No,
can't.
I was
Yeah.
there in both locations and I can't tell. And I just find like the magic of movies
The magic of
and,
movies.
and skilled people that can figure that out and see that if we shoot it from this angle and then we edit it together, like it blows my mind because
Wow.
yeah, I know. It's great.
Pretty cool. Well, thanks, friends. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being a part of this incredible journey. We're gonna do a post-production, part two, post-production.
two.
We're gonna make this happen
I'd
because
watch that.
so much more to talk about and learn as well, and makes Sterling happy. And we'll get some more of our crew in there too. And just thanks so much. Like, wow, congratulations, everybody. Like, it really
Yeah.
is such a huge accomplishment for this little film that we dreamt up and we made happen, and it's
Little
just
film that
so
could.
grateful. Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Happy Thursday, everyone.
Well,
See you soon.
See you later.
bye.